In the Course, it says there are two ways of reacting. There's love and there's fear. And everything that is love cannot be fear. And everything that is fear cannot be love. So what I would ask you to do is to ask yourself, how much of my life and the decisions that I make are based upon fear? I have been reading a great teacher from Bulgaria whose name was Peter Dunov. Peter Dunov was a man who talked about a different kind of love. He said there are basically three kinds of love. One is human love, and human love is a love that changes and varies. So this is a love that I love you, but you came home late and you forgot Valentine's Day, so I don't love you so much. And it's constantly changing. I love you, I hate you, and on and on it goes. And then there's a love that he called spiritual love, which is a love that never changes, but it does vary. This is the love that I can only define as the love I have for my children. I have 8 of them, and it really doesn't matter what they do or how they behave, how they conduct themselves. The love is just there. Having 8 children, I know that it varies. Sometimes it's a little stronger than others, but it's always there. And then there's a love that Peter Dunov spoke about, which is a love that he calls divine love. And this is a love that never changes. And this is a love that never varies. And this is a love I aspire to. Jesus is quoted as saying that when you make the two one, then you can enter the kingdom. The opening line of the Tao Te Ching, a book that I studied and lived and wrote a whole series of essays about, the opening line of the Tao says, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So this is a love that has no opposites. So if I were to ask you the word, if I said, what is joy? I would say, what is the opposite of joy? Most of you would probably say something like despair or sadness and so on. And if I ask you to imagine a joy that has no opposite, it's just joy. Or if I were to ask you, what's the opposite of love? We could come up with many antonyms to love. Try to imagine a love that has no opposite. That's all there is. Nothing else can come up. Shakespeare, in one of his plays, said, I think he said it this way, my crown is in my heart, not on my head. Not decked with diamonds, nor Indian stones, nor to be seen. My crown is called content. A crown it is that seldom kings enjoy. That kind of love is the love I aspire to. Contentment, a love that knows no opposite. That state where there is only one, there is no opposite. Whatever you place your attention on, you become. And the only thing that you can feel is a kind of unconditional love. So for me, as I aspire, it is to live a love that has no judgment, no criticism, no condemnation towards any of God's creations. If we could get the fear out of our hearts and just come from a place of no judgment, no criticism, no condemnation towards any of God's children, we could live what Shakespeare was speaking about. We could just be content.